Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Winning with Win. Again, we're still trying to get our acts together here on the beautiful image they made for me a long time ago. And it's because they've switched teams. And so we're still trying to get our acts together. But today, what I wanted to talk about is being kind to the disabled. And I'm actually going to pull my headphone out of my ears so you guys can hear me. Um, there we go. Being kind to the disabled on a daily basis. And I just, funny enough, before I got on here, this has happened to me twice now. Before I got on here, I just realized that the bus system called me. Now, granted, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I have access to the ADA bus, the Americans with Disabilities bus, and all this good stuff. They actually, it's a really interesting process. They hook me in my chair using J hooks, and it's a really interesting process. I actually have J hooks in my own vehicle. Yes, I have a vehicle, but I can't drive the vehicle. But I do have one, and I get people, friends essentially, to drive it, and it's been an interesting process this whole year. But what I was going to say was that the Phoenix bus system called me and they go, well, the driver's waiting for you outside your house. And I'm like, no, they're supposed to pick me up at noon. And I was actually waiting for you guys to come on the air. And I'm like, no, they're supposed to pick me up at noon today to take me to an appointment. So I had to confirm with the Phoenix bus system, yes, what my schedule is. Now, granted, I know my schedule. I am independent more than I was in 2020 and more than I was in 2019. But I am independent. And granted, I know my schedule. I know the how to get cash, how to get cash out of ATM if I need it, how to get cash to give to the bus drivers. And yes, they require cash. They down here they don't take a debit card. They don't take Venmo. They don't take Zelle. But most bus systems don't. Most bus systems are so antiquated, and that's what I'm discovering. But you would think with all these means of communications, of with all these means of communications, Zoom, WhatsApp, podcasting, email, a phone call, a text message, you would think that the and apps are starting to communicate with people such as Clubhouse, like I mentioned last week. And so you would think that the bus system would have would be updated on their technology. And yeah, and so I don't know. I don't know how to explain to the bus system, yes, I need to be picked up, but not at 8:30 in the morning on a Thursday unless I call you. I mean, they they pick up so many people, and I know this because I've been on a bus when they pick up so so many different passengers, but it's they've got to start communicating with people, and they can't leave it to the last minute. And thank God they called me, otherwise it would have gone on my record as a no-show. But thank God they called me. But they could have just sent me a text, or they could have just um, sent me something as to say, we're out here. Please come down and tell us what to do. I could have come down and told them what to do, or the person sitting in the clubhouse could have told them what to do. Yes, I have a clubhouse. Yes, we have 24-hour staff. And yes, the person in the clubhouse could have told them what to do, but I dealt with it, and I dealt with it to the best of my abilities. As I was waiting to come on with you guys, I was dealing with that behind the scenes. But also, and here's another story for you. When I went and caught a bus on Thursday, it seems like I'm catching buses every single day now, but that's my life. And yes, I still have the vehicle, but the vehicle's being put on limited use just because car insurance is astronomically expensive. Well, car insurance, everywhere is astronomically expensive. And hiring someone specifically to drive that vehicle is getting astronomically expensive. So that's why we put my vehicle on limited use. But it's interesting because I asked, now you got to understand that you can't say to the bus system, hey, I have a disability, I need transport. Nope, they got to do a test to see if you can do it. They got to do a doctor's note. Of course, they lost mine. Typical. They lost mine, and then had to get it done again. I'll find it, and then get me scheduled to get tested, which that was a very interesting story in itself. I I was finally smart enough. I looked at out of the corner of my eye when we were down there getting me tested, and I finally put my wheelchair on speed 3 because I'm like, I'm not doing I'm not doing this, and if they denied me, they denied me. But I finally looked out of the corner of my eye and realized that the woman was timing me, which they do in the state of Arizona, and they do in Phoenix in particular. But I'm realizing that when I went and asked a Phoenix Dialine bus operator, bus driver the other day, hey, I'm looking for a paratransit. Paratransit is what they use to get out to Scottsdale. Hey, I'm looking for a paratransit something. I didn't know I was looking for a non-medical van, a non-emergency medical van. But later I come to quickly discover that they do use non-medical vans to get us places, and I quickly discovered that Yellow Cab was involved. And so I go, hey, do you know anything about this? And now, granted, I didn't expect the flat out no that I got. I got I expected, yes, I know something about it, but I got a rude, flat out no. So my point being is just be kind to the disabled. And when they roll up and ask you or hobble up or walk up with their disability, when I say hobble, they're on a walking or a cane. And when they we just want to be treated as if we're humans. We just want to be treated as if we're humans on this planet. So basically, what happened this morning was that the bus system called me. They, I immediately called them back and said, cancel the trip. I don't need it at 8:30. I need it at noon. But what somehow they got a person, and I hate to be this blunt, that didn't speak English, that didn't understand English enough to take it down yesterday when I was making arrangements for next week, and then I made another arrangement later that day. But always, 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 and I'm doing this essentially by myself, which is always a fun one, because even though they say I'm allowed to bring an aide on the bus with me, my people have schedules and they can't necessarily come every single time. And so it's interesting how they treat a disabled woman that a disabled woman that is smarter than the box of rocks they try and treat me as. But what I've come to discover is that society isn't fit for the disabled. I've discovered that a long time ago. I actually discovered that when I found out what cerebral palsy truly was and is. It's a neurological condition, and I didn't find that out until 2019, until after my father died, and I had gotten emotionally and physically abused by a family member, and we'll talk about that subject next week. But when someone who's struggling asks for help, I don't care what you have to do. Just don't be rude to them. Just don't be rude. And when I went and caught a bus on Thursday afternoon, first of all, the dial-line people, because I was looking for the paratransit people, they were rude to me. They said flat out, no, we can't help you. And no, no, sorry, we don't know anything about that. And I'm like, that's okay, and rolled back to my spot, which is outside my house, outside two big front doors. And so by the time paratransit showed up, they were, first of all, late. Second of all, they didn't know necessarily how to put me in the van. And then, to top it off, this is why I'm barely using paratransit. To top it all off, they leave me stranded at my appointment. They don't call me. They don't, and then they wait for 8 minutes and they leave. So then they mark you as a no-show. Yellow Cab marked me as a no-show, which paratransit is going to see, and no-show Sally here. But quite frankly, they told me that they told me, and they were fairly specific. They said between 4 and 4:30. By the time they got to my appointment, it was already 5:31. And they go, "Oh, since we're late, the bus ride is free." And I got so freaked out because no bus. I got so freaked out because of no bus that I had to call my aide who was at my house already and said, "You come and pick me up." Because I'm like, no, this is not good. Lack of communication. So if you know American Sign Language, if you know deaf, if you know Braille, if you know speech impediments, um, try and communicate with the disabled the best you can, because that's going to make all lives a heck of a lot easier. Don't be rude. My main point is, don't be rude to the disabled who are trying to be independent. And don't, please, 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 bus drivers who are watching this all across the 50 states and all across internationally too on Pod TV and Roku, don't leave people stranded. At least call them and tell them, "Hey, look, I'm going to be late." Or at least call them and tell them, "Hey, I'm going to be a couple minutes late." Or see, people get annoyed at me and my communication skills because I communicate too much. Trust me. Trust me, I communicate too much, and people are like, "What are you knocking off?" And just let us do a work. And the answer to that is no. The answer to that is no. And a person got mad at me this morning. She goes, "I scheduled time with you at 9 a.m." I'm like, "No, I have a standing appointment, which is winning with Win on every single Thursdays till I can't do it anymore." And so it's interesting how people's lack of communication skills are they just fall off into thin air, and it's like, no, that doesn't help. That does not help, and I'm sorry, that does not help when you're a disabled person trying to be as independent as you can be. And it's like, okay, they've the bus system has got to work itself out. And I don't know how the bus system is going to get updated technology. I mean, there's a place they will not take me. They absolutely will not take me because it's out of their jurisdiction. And I tried twice now to call paratransit and Phoenix and Dioride, and they go, "It's out of our jurisdiction, you deal with it." Um, and that's why I have people that drive my vehicle. And if push came to shove, I have backup plans out to yin yang. But at the same time, when people who are disabled trying to use public transportation, now, this, as I said, this is not the normal bus. This is the handicap bus, but still they have tie downs on a normal bus. So if I needed to use a normal bus, I would. But it's interesting because there is no bus stop. I grew up without a bus stop. My bus stop was at least at the end of the street, but there's no bus stop right across the street from here. And the moment I say that, after I get this wall project over and done with, I'm going to contact the city of Phoenix and see if we can get a bus stop installed so that people, able-bodied people and disabled alike, could use the bus stop instead of going 2 minutes away to catch the bus. And so it's interesting that there is no bus stop, but yet when you talk to the handicap bus, and yes, I will be talking to a counselor about this today, yes, I do, and we'll get into that probably next week, which will, this show will fall on Thanksgiving. We'll probably get into mental health and do's and don'ts on Thanksgiving. And so, because I have a list of them, so we'll probably get into mental health and do's and don'ts on Thanksgiving. But it's interesting how we automatically assume that people will pick up where they left off and communicate with us. No, they won't. No, they won't. And I have a couple people in my life who go, "Wow, Lynn, you're better communicator than most." Yeah, but have you ever been stranded in Scottsdale, or have you ever? I've had to hitchhike one other time in my life and that was with my dad. And that was coming off a skiing situation. And so me asking for help is not it's a typical thing that I like to do, but people being rude to the disabled is another thing that I don't like, because basically it shows they have no wherewithal as to what the disabled is doing, as to what the disabled is like. As now I have two friends that are retired social workers. I tend to hang out with retired social workers because they get it. They understand. And they, especially when they did previous work at the VA, you know who you are. I will say this. Once you work with the disabled will impact your life forever. And I wish that I could teach people how to work with the disabled. I mean, come on. We have all this technology, but yet the bus system has to call me and say, "We're here, and if you don't show up, we'll mark it as a no-show." But it's like, come on. You can send people text. You can WhatsApp them. You can just communicate with them via voice. You can communicate. I don't care if it's 20 minutes or 2 seconds, but just say, "Look, here, give me time." And people know I like to be early. Being late stresses me out. I have late self-diagnosed anxiety. I probably had anxiety in my previous life and still haven't got that diagnosed. But it's interesting because, and yes, people try and help me the best they can, but at the end of the day, there's only so much people can do to help the disabled. But please, 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 this next week, being Thanksgiving, please be kind to the disabled, and please be kind to their caregivers, wherever, however their caregivers may be, whether it's a hired aide or whether it's a parent taking care of their parents or whether it's a parent taking care of a child. But please communicate with the disabled. I don't care. I don't care what you guys do, how you guys communicate with the disabled. But please don't be rude to the disabled. It's one of my biggest pet peeves that is unbelievable to me, that I just simply ask for, I didn't ask for too much. I just simply ask, can you help me figure this out? They go, no. And then early on this week, I got yelled at because I wasn't doing the appropriate thing. Well, and I'm going to have to explain this to them. With CP, when you tell me to do something, it takes me a couple minutes to process it. I have a learning disability. I might have a small one, but it's still a learning disability because cerebral palsy is a neurological condition and it affects the brain. I mean, I got whacked in the brain back in '87, and due to lack of oxygen. And I'll get to my birth story before Christmas, and that's a good one. Get to my birth story before Christmas so you guys have a better understanding of what's going on. And so it's always interesting that they're rude to the disabled. Now I can handle, thank you very much, mental health. I've been doing a lot of mental health work since I got down to Arizona. And so I I just have problem with those being rude. I can be rude right back, or I can be sweet as pie right back. But if you push me over the edge, you if and a person asked me, "Do you want to get another person's attention?" I said no this morning. I said no, I don't want to get this other person's attention. But at the same time, don't agree to come to an appointment with me that you want to see me do, and then say I have a Zoom meeting, and then I explain to you 1,000 times what's going on, and then you say I have a Zoom meeting and I need to cancel my time with you. My my time is valuable just like everyone else's, and so if you are too busy to show up and camp out in my house and work with me, my team member works with me. Both my team members work with me. It's not a family member by any means. If it was, that would be a totally different story, but it's not a family member by any means. And this person she's works her tail off basically, and we all know it, and it's like if you decide to come to an appointment, which you really want to see me do, you really want to see the building where I'm going, don't necessarily say I have a Zoom meeting and then ask me again what time your appointment is. And this person fully knows that I need to take the bus. It was partially their idea. And so it's partially their idea to take the bus. And if they want to tell me that they have another Zoom meeting, I'll say bye. I'll be back in a good 2 hours. Because no, I'm not waiting around for people to make up their mind. And a person asked me this morning, so you want to get this person attention? No, this person agreed to me, and then she had another scheduled appointment on top of it, which then I had to cancel a meeting this morning because I don't have an update for a person that needs an update. We need an update ASAP. But I'm waiting on another person to give me an update, and I am waiting to see what they say, and I'm going to tell this other person what they say. And so it's going to be interesting what another person says, and yet we're all so busy that we can't communicate with each other. Hey, I have another appointment, and hey, I can't do this with you even though I really want to. And yet we've discussed it via email, and yet I can't call her, I can't text her. She doesn't like that. God forbid if I call her, and God forbid if I text her. She doesn't like that, and she likes emails better. And I have another team member that likes emails better. And I like to call people and get straight to the point myself, but that's only me. Some people to each their own. But just communicate and do not be rude to the disabled. And it's interesting that it's going to be Thanksgiving next week, and a person asked me, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" And I said, I'll essentially have Thanksgiving alone because I have a friend's Thanksgiving on the 20th, and then because of that, last year I didn't have Thanksgiving alone. Last year it was a small Thanksgiving, but it was still with people. But I will have Thanksgiving alone just because of the dynamics of this year. At least I don't think anyone's coming out. They haven't told me, or maybe they're bringing spices, I don't know. But I will have Thanksgiving alone, which I am not flying home. When I say home is Aspen, Colorado, by the way. And I just transplanted myself down here because of this amazing housing opportunity. And so I'm not planning on going home. I'm not planning on traveling. I wish I was, but it's too late for that. And when I told people yesterday on the podcast that I washed my hands of my biological family because they kept pushing on me and I didn't want to answer. I gave them what they wanted, and if a Christmas present magically appears from them, it magically appears. I don't care. And I literally don't care. I have a couple people that loves to work in my life, and they just don't want anything to do with me nowadays, and that is difficult. I have others that truly love me, and they loved me to the 10th degree. And I am lucky enough to have chosen family members. But the people who are coming down next week are not chosen family members. They are just team members, even though they want to support me. One wants to support me more than the other. But it's interesting because of what's going on in the dynamics after COVID. Um, and granted, I met these people in 2019 when I was in with shape than I am now. Now I can do stuff independently, like get on a bus and go to appointments. And so I met these people when I was in with shape, and they have seen me. They have seen me through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And but the fact of the matter is, my big fear in my life, and I'll admit this um, publicly here, my big fear is in in my life because I have family a million miles away and 10 hours away, and in my life, if something were to happen, I know that chosen family members would be down here in 2 seconds flat, but I don't think my team would be down here. I know one member would try to get down here. I don't think my team would be um, able to make it down here due to the schedule. And I'm watching this after, and they met me in 2019 before COVID. We did a lot of work together um, in COVID too, and so I don't think they would be down here if there's a true emergency, and we'll see what happens next week. But I'm basically going, when I leave to go to my appointment, I'm basically going to tell this person, bye, you can stay here, you can camp yourself in my kitchen if you need to, and I'm leaving, and I will be back at a certain time, and you can ask me how my appointment was. I'm such a rebel elder. I don't rely on other people. I bang to my own drum. And Mark Lay is coming in probably to ask me a question. But I'm such a, and Mark Lay knows this, I am such a rebel elder. I bang to my own drum. I don't rely on other people. I figure it out. And most disabled people do. And most disabled people do figure stuff out.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Well, I was just saying that one of the things that I have always admired is that you are a definite rebel rouser and a great rebel rouser. There's no doubt about that. And I know you were talking about your independence and being very independent and all along those lines. And even when I've gotten around on mass transit, I have seen people that are getting around that are either in the blind community, the deaf community, or other parts of the differently abled community. But I just had to come on and let you know that you're doing an amazing job of being an advocate, as you often are, and all in that space. And yes, there is no doubt that you are truly a rebel rouser and definitely will
Yeah.
not let your family
No,
suffer
I
for you or anything along those lines. You will definitely go for your rights. And the other thing that I was going to add is that I know that sometimes people in the differently abled community, and I think you might have been alluded into it earlier, get frustrated because y'all, a lot of times you want that independence, and sometimes folks see somebody with a different ability and everything, and they automatically want to do the pity party kind of thing. And a lot of times
yeah.
that is not what
Yeah.
folks want, and all in that line. So I just wanted
It's
you to share a little bit
interesting.
about your
It's
thoughts, because I
interesting
know
that
sometimes
you
people are
say
like
that.
we don't want to be just having somebody give pity on us because we are differently able. So,
No, it's interesting that you say that, and while you're still in it, I'll mention this. Um, many years ago, well, in 2019, I accepted my disability as my gift. Long story short, and we'll do a full-fledged episode on this, that because that's a touchy subject in itself. And so we'll do a full fledged episode on this maybe after Thanksgiving when I talk about how to interact with family members who are disabled, who may come out of the woodwork to Thanksgiving dinner, and basically how to interact with the disabled and the do's and don'ts to not to do at Thanksgiving dinner. I have those are just general comments. But the point being is in 2019, I actually accepted my disability. And so I will always bang to my own drum and always leave people in the dust. And I will be respectful. I will, but at the same time, I'm not waiting for people to make up their minds as to what they're going to do with me and what they're going to say to me. As I said, I had a backup plan on Thursday, and that backup plan still stands. On last Thursday, when I got stranded, and I almost called the yellow cab and said, "Why would you leave a disabled person without telling them?" But I figured it's not, as I said, paratransit to cross county lines is not, it's not paratransit's fault. It's kind of yellow cab's fault. But at the same time, thank God I had a backup plan put in place already. But I will leave the people in the dust. I will, when they call me and I see a difference of opinions, as I said to you guys before I got on here, the Phoenix bus system called me and said, "We're waiting outside your house for you." And I said, "No, you're supposed to pick me up at noon. I know my schedule. I have to fight with the Phoenix bus system all the time and public transportation all the time, and just really under because they don't understand the disabled. They're in it for the paycheck, and they want to treat the disabled as a number, and that just makes me sad. And that just literally makes me sad when we get down to it that the disabled get treated like the number. And I don't know how you feel about this, Blanc, but what's your opinion about the disabled being treated as if they are a number?
No, I definitely agree that that's something that goes on much too often, that we are definitely seen in a way as being something that needs to have sympathy or things along those lines. And definitely, you just need to understand that no matter what the different ability is, that most of us are working in that space and can operate within that space and can definitely be very much our own advocates, but we also don't mind having other advocates that are there to help us as well. And particularly if those are advocates are coming from a very sincere place. I was actually talking to a very dear friend that actually lost one of their important relatives in their life, and that was somebody that was actually very much involved in the differently abled space and was very much of an advocate and a supporter. So I don't mind supporters. I definitely think that those supporters, if they're coming from a good place, that is a great thing and all in that line. But at the same time, I do know that even as my own mom had told me, you are naturally independent and you will get to where you want to go no matter what's going on in your life if
Sure.
you set those goals and
Yeah.
all
And
in that space. And definitely that's the way that I treat life, and definitely the way I treat things in general and all in that space. But definitely if that's what I'm seeing and what a lot of people are saying in that regards.
what I find it curious is that people tell me that I can't do it. People tell me I can't do it. And I got an email saying, well, you can't do the bus independently. And it's interesting because I feel like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. I can do the bus independently. I can do my vehicle independently with help. I just need to have support from the disabled community as to we can be independent, we can live on our own, we can do all this stuff. We have a bunch of naysayers in our lives that like to say, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's so funny because I sent a text message to the person who said, without aid, you can't do the bus. I said, I'm sitting here as I'm sending this text message to you as I'm waiting for the bus. And she goes, okay, wow. And I said, well, paratransit crossing county lines is not my favorite thing in the world, and we're slowly but surely working on that pickle. But when it comes to the independence and bus system, it is interesting to me how they treat the disabled and how they treat the public in general.
No, I definitely agree with you. They definitely do not treat folks in fairness all the time, even though I think here in Durham we have a pretty good system in that regard. So I'm actually been pretty proud of the way that they handle that on a regular basis. We even have an access bus that will get people around if they can't get around to the regular transportation and all in those other kind of lines. And I know the elderly and others use it as well. And there are some other bus services that are available. So I think that we do it pretty well here, not just in Durham, but in the Triangle. But there's some country areas that do not have that kind of access because they're in more rural areas. So the rural areas even have a harder time than the big cities and the urban areas. But they need to understand that they're dealing with a global star, because I know that Wynn Charles is a major YouTube success and a major star in all of that. And definitely she is a global star. So they need to understand that as well, because you are truly a global star. And we're glad to have you back on Pod TV. I'm going to pop off and
Well,
let you
thank
wrap
you.
up your last 8 or 9 minutes or so and all of that. But we know that we've got a global star because you have got all kinds of views and all of that. So I appreciate you and appreciate this amazing job that you're doing.
Thank you. So, in my last couple minutes here, I just want to say to you guys, be kind to the disabled, and not not just during the week of Thanksgiving. Be kind to the disabled in general, and don't be rude to them. Especially, don't leave them stranded. Trees, don't leave them stranded. And when we meet again on Thanksgiving, which is next Thursday, geez, that's a little scary. I am just going to talk about again the disabled and how to deal with them on the public holiday, and just how to have a nice Thanksgiving. And because I know that you have family members that may appear out of the woodwork, and let's just have a nice Thanksgiving. And you guys can follow me, and I'll send us all smoke. You guys can follow me on askwin.webelize.com. You can also follow me on the artwork of CP. You can also follow me on Ask Win, and Ask Win is going to be blowing up here in 2023. And the artwork of CP is also going to be blowing up. I do that primarily with my girlfriend, but I'm slowly trying to open it up and to other disabled people. And I just want you guys to have a great day and just be kind to the disabled and have a great week. And I will see you on Thanksgiving at 9 a.m. at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And I will definitely see you on Thanksgiving. And please, please, please just be kind to the disabled. And please, if you need to reach out to me, my email's on my website. My phone number's on my website. I gave you my phone number last time, you guys, which was last week, 970-618-8840. And all you have to do is tell me what it is. And I think my door just opened because of the wind. That's what happens in Arizona when it gets windy. These doors slide right open, and so it's real life, you guys. But I really appreciate you guys listening and paying attention, and I hope that you subscribe to Pod TV and give us a like and give your favorite shows an extra like, and hopefully eventually this show will get sponsored. And if you guys want to talk to me about that, any of you want to talk to me about that, please let me know. And as I said, please, please, please just be kind to the disabled in this next week. And please be kind to the disabled in this upcoming year, which is 2023. And have a happy Thanksgiving. If I don't see you guys, if you're watching my show after the Thanksgiving, or here's an idea, put it on the background. Turn the Roku on, and as you're preparing Wednesday and Thursday, the Thanksgiving meal for everyone, you can put an old episode on Wednesday, and then you could put me on Thursdays and just have Pod TV streaming in the background. And that would make both of us, all of us happy, because the more numbers we have, the better Google and YouTube pushes us up.
I forgot to mention one other thing too, and that is that actually on the day of folks watching on the internet, and definitely they can catch Barbara, who's usually right after you at 12, and I think that later on Wall Street Hacker will be coming on, but they can actually also go on the website, because we are keeping this stuff regularly running on the website, which is podtv.tv, so they can actually see it regularly on the website, podtv.tv, and that has the programs running on a regular basis, and even they can go back and watch shows that have happened in the past. So they can actually go and watch last week's show as well as this week's show. So definitely we do want people to be encouraged to watch it on the website, which is podtv.tv.
Okay. Well, as I said, if you go to podtv.tv, you can definitely watch it. Definitely keep it streaming. And I don't know if you want to keep a laptop open on Thanksgiving, but I think we do family-friendly shows, at least we used to do. I'm not sure whether we do family-friendly shows, but at least you can have a conscious conversation about people with disabilities around the Thanksgiving table. That is my hope. And yes, yes, I've just been told that kids are allowed to watch this. I try to keep the swearing out of it. And so so it's going to be interesting because Pod TV has classic TV shows and movies, so everything will be streamed online. So I just, if you guys can, keep the laptop open or keep the TV on as you do your meal prep, and you don't even have to watch me necessarily. You can hear my voice in the background and maybe gain a couple of wisdom pieces. And I'm going to see you guys next week on Thanksgiving at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And I'm going to see you later. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, you guys.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
How you holding up? Nothing wrong with getting help.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
I'm a first-generation Filipino American. You don't always feel you're a part of the country you live in. It's this weird middle space sometimes that you have to live inside of. But when you meet others that are also living in that space, you'll learn to know that it's its own unique space too.